right there. Nice and moist. And this final one in this tent, this is a bulk. And when we move over to the other tent, you can compare this bulk to those over there. And part of it is she started off life stuck in a small pot for longer than the other ones. And then this is a 13-gallon pot from Grassroots. Got it from Build a Soil. But so she's a little bit different, but I cleared her out a little bit. Still need a little bit more work to get in there, because she just started popping those flowers left and right again. But same thing with the soil. I don't think I'm crazy about the soil, but yeah, I love it. And she's starting to fill up with buds now that I've cleaned her out. But that's what we got going here. Let's look at the tray to grow. And again, 5x5 AC Infinity. Now this one's got a covert 500 light. I've had that light for a few years, so I love that light. And as we roll in here, let's start over here on the left-hand side. And this first one up here, this is an Afghan. She's looking beautiful. Cleared it out a little bit. And those are bud sites. I mean, she's going to stack. She's going to stack really, really nice. If we go to the back, that one is a cider bush. Now I got to get in there and clean her up a little bit more, but she's just beautiful. She's little, quite frosty. I got to clean her up a little bit. She's beautiful. Now I know GHC Garage is going to grow these two. He's going to do it outside, and I can't wait to see those. Over here on this side, these are the two bulbs. And they look kind of the same, but different. And you can see on this first one, I cleaned her up a little bit. You'll need to work on her a little more, but you can just see how big those buds are, how big they get. And I can tell you that these smell really, really kind of fruity, kind of, yeah, really nice. And in that back one there, that's another bulb. But if you look at it real close, you may not be able to see it, but I mean, everything is hazed with the trike. And I can't wait to try some of that. That stuff is great. And I want to mention some of my favorite things again. Traded grows. I love the traded grows. I don't think you can go wrong with them. And whether you're running the auto pots tray for the traded grow or these, I love these because he's got the liner on the inside, so they keep the moisture kind of down. Because here's where the liner is. You can see where the moisture is. The greens here, the greens up here, but we're not getting a lot of moisture out here. Again, the soil.
Hey, folks. A little educational video here real quick. Getting scientific, and I wanted to show you guys, I can demonstrate exactly what I'm talking about, of why myself, about 10 years ago, I switched to just growing almost purely landrace genetics, or genetics that are, you know, it's pretty tied to landrace, like just crosses between, let's say, Pakistani and Thai. You know, it's not too far removed from just being a pure landrace. And I'm just going to show you a real-life example of exactly why I just think most of modern genetics, cannabis genetics, are completely worthless, at least in an outdoor setting. And I still believe that cannabis, is a plant that grows outdoors, on the sun, it's free energy falling from the sky. We're not burning fossil fuels to grow our weed. It's really sustainably and regeneratively. So I'll just show you. So with that said, this is purely about outdoor growing, but I'll just show you an example here of a modern genetic that in our landrace garden I decided to grow it. Someone recommended it to me, and I'll show you what happened to it. We just completely melted down, and then I'll show you the landrace as a compare and contrast. So you can see side-by-side comparison, and you'll understand most modern genetics are just completely worthless for outdoor growing environment. So here we go. All right. So we've had a few days of rain, which I don't freak out about because I usually grow, landrace genetics, so it's said. But this here is what's called a laughing jack. So this is laughing Buddha Jack Herrera. No slight to Jack Herrera, and maybe a pure Jack might perform better, but I think laughing Buddha is kind of an Amsterdam thing, maybe laughing. I don't know the whole story on it, but I'm just going to show you what has happened to these buds. So I think you can probably see there. There's another totally moldy cola. Almost every one of these colas has mold, and patches of mold, and it's just been completely consumed. And for me, like picking through colas, picking out chunks of mold and everything, it's my least favorite thing to do. You're always going to miss them, and then you're dealing with mold. And when you stuff your head in your bag of weed, you're actually sniffing mold spores. It sucks. So even here, it's like, ooh, there's a nice bud to survive. And check it out. Moldy chunk. Okay. So you can say, ooh, a turkey grower, spray chemicals. I don't want to spray any chemicals. I think a cannabis plant should be able to hold up under fairly normal weather conditions. If it melts down, then I think it's crappy genetics. It's kind of like a butterball turkey. I like an heirloom wild turkey that can survive out in the wild, not a big white butterball turkey that will trip over a stick and die within 5 seconds of being actually in the forest. So that's laughing Buddha. So this whole plant, I'm probably just going to chop it down, even though it's covered in beautiful. On the surface, beautiful looking colas. I'm sure it's stony weed, but yeah, just doesn't hold up. So now I'm going to venture over here. Same exact garden, same exact conditions, same everything. Now I'm going to show you 1970s Pakistani landrace. Huge, beautiful colas. Cola is even bigger than the laughing Buddha. Oh, look at this. There's not a speck of mold. No mold anywhere. This is from Pakistan too, not necessarily, a tropical environment. But yeah, it doesn't melt down and go into mold implosion if it gets even 2 days of rain. Yeah, these are solid genetics. And look at the crystals here. And by the way, I've grown this 3 years in a row. Crazy stony. Probably more stony than that laughing Buddha thing. Okay, so first case. 1970s Pakistani. Not a speck of mold. Same garden. Another 1970s Pakistani. Same situation. You can look each one of these colas from top to bottom, not a speck of mold. Nothing. And, again, primo, Primo. Insanely amazing effects. Probably gets you way more stuff than that boutique Laughing Jack cake. Okay. Now we're going to come over to PCK, Pakistani Shakal Cook. Alright, now let's look at these buds. Huge purple buds. Look at the size of these. And again, same story. Not a speck of mold. Nothing. Just pure, clean, beautiful crystals. You ain't going to be helping mold spores here. By the way, I'm probably going to harvest this buffalo today. So yeah, you can just check out, look at this. Oh, wow. This thing's bigger than my forearm. A little perspective there. My camera just is really damaged or something. Anyway, yeah, not a speck of mold. Okay, and then you can go on to the Zacatecas. You can go on into the Brazil, lamb bread. Here I tell them are not quite as far along. Okay, here's Iranian, Brazil. This is an F1 crop. So this is, now a hybrid, but it's Iranian with Brazil landrace. Yeah, no mold. I know, I sound like a broken record. I'm just trying to make my point, like people are like, that's because they're amazing genetics. It's fun to grow them. They're not high maintenance problem plants. A lot of people think like being a good grower means spraying products all over your plant. I think being a good grower is actually starting with good genetics that don't mold and don't get diseases. And turn out beautifully and are selling as ants. And I'm telling you, I haven't tried this yet, the Iranian Brazil. Would you like to save seeds from your garden, but you're worried about cross-pollination? Well, there's a kind of gardening that says cross-pollination is okay. In fact, it's actually encouraged. Join me today as I discuss land-raised gardening. Hi, I'm Gardener Scott. And for many gardeners, the concept of land-raised gardening is new. But in practice, the methods have been used for thousands of years. In the home garden, what we're doing with land-raised gardening is trying to develop plants that are adapted locally to our individual garden, but most importantly, quite genetically diverse. The way that most of us garden is to choose very specific varieties that we like and grow those in the garden. Most often we choose the varieties because of the taste. Like this black cherry tomato, one of my favorites. It's an heirloom, and I just love the taste of these little tomatoes. It never gets old. Well, by harvesting these tomatoes and saving the seeds, I can continue to grow more black cherry tomatoes because this is an heirloom. It's an open pollinated plant.
and the seeds from this tomato will give me the same plant as the parent. It's similar, but with an important...
Hey, morning everybody. Just wanted to show ya. I don't do a lot of videos in the morning, but yeah, we are in a coastal zone. So the ocean's just literally like 10 miles away from here for this farm. So yeah, we do get coastal fog quite a bit. And they'll dry up, everything's cool, but it is something that we deal with. So yeah, the mold is something we have to be aware of and actually be super proactive with and make sure we don't get into a situation. Because if we get, well, I'm going to switch this around now. Anyway, so as you can see here, we got flowers, very deep with the flowers. By the way, touch that. Stuff is not enough to say lose it. That's a big fat bug. So I'm touching it with my thumb. And by the way, I don't have a tiny thumb. So anyway, big. Alright, so I just want to show you, and the fog's actually already faded a little bit. So we don't get this every morning, but all of a sudden, you know, it can happen. And right now, there's just not a lot of sitting dew on the plant, so it's still cool. I just wanted to show you what it looks like and why when you're outdoor farming, especially in coastal areas or places where the weather, you know, environmental stuff changes quite a bit, you just have to really read the plants, read the situation, read the environment, just monitor because it's kind of taking cues from the plant, and if the plant starts showing like little bits of mold, oh, by the way, these kind of things, it's very, I love seeing that. Just, you know, some little creature, little spider, that up there is absolutely beautiful. Look at that, elegant with little dewdrops on there. It's just beautiful. And I'm happy to see life happening all around our flowers. Some people are like, ooh, but that's life. There's bugs and life and first bees everywhere. And it's just cool seeing, in my opinion, that the cannabis is part of that ecosystem and energy. Now, if you want to follow up on, did a video about just seeds, sourcing seeds, and they all put it up directly. So I really want to help people find cannabis seeds and landrace cannabis seeds especially, and our this channel is to get a conversation going about just landrace cannabis and just different types of cannabis outside just the commercial, industrial, especially the dispensary weed, but also what's kind of taken over the whole cannabis scene is just a very narrow sort of cookie gelato-ish type, a new type of cannabis that's just real high THC, but a lot of the effects tend to be more lethargic, narcotic, and sedative and such. And people sort of collectively now are starting to realize, yeah, that's not the, you know, it's kind of ways that, you know, that might work for some people, but a lot of people are looking for other types of cannabis, other types of effects. A lot of people like being energized and laughing and giggling and, you know, feeling amplified as opposed to weighted down. So our channel is just alerting people that, yeah. And by the way, if you think you got a bunch of dispensary weed and you didn't like the effect, it's not you. It's the weed. The weed is just very different than it was, you know, 15, 20 years ago. So yeah, so a lot of people are starting to wake up, sort of collectively, communally, that yeah, the weed's getting different, and that there are different types of cannabis. And so, yeah, anyway, we're just trying to spark interest, curiosity, and discovery about landrace cannabis culture. There's a global cannabis community that just dates back, 10,000 plus years. And that's very interesting. And, yeah, and there's alternatives. And yeah, if you can grow cannabis yourself, that's awesome, because consuming cannabis is medicine, but growing your own cannabis is also incredibly therapeutic. And it's may even be more beneficial as medicine than actually consuming. Who knows? It's all part of the big picture, but yeah. So anyway, getting back to sourcing food. Right now, I am not going to be the person who provides seeds, especially if you're, outside Santa Cruz County. I just have no legal mechanism for shipping seeds, selling seeds, or anything. I just can't do that. But now, a lot of people are asking, and it's cool. I totally appreciate this, but just going to kind of address this for everyone, because I am receiving tons of emails, tons of comments of just, where do I get seeds? Where do I get seeds? And where do I get my seeds? So first of all, just address where my seeds came from. I've been doing this for a long time, 15 plus years, collecting and going down the landrace rabbit hole. So they come from all over the place. There's not just some Walmart landrace cannabis depot that I get all my seeds from, or where they came from. It's a whole life journey. I have friends who travel. I travel myself. I've collected seeds myself over the years. Also, because I'm interested in that, I happen to live in Santa Cruz as well, which is an old-time cannabis community. It goes back, decades and decades. There's a lot of old-timers who collected seeds, from the 70s and 80s, who still have their seeds, who have actually shared those with me over the years. That's how we've been able to tap into some of the 70s and 80s. There's also online communities. Without full disclosure, giving away things, I also have a lot of friends who travel. I have friends who do nonprofit stuff, like skateboarding community is really interesting. And by the way, there's a lot of nonprofits who build skate parks in very interesting parts of the world. And so when they're building a skate park in Ghana, maybe they just happen to find some cannabis and there's seeds in that bag. So anyway, there is no roadmap. There is no Walmart of cannabis, landrace cannabis. There's not a call center that you call into with a whole food bag. It's an adventure. It's kind of a cosmic adventure of how you get connected with these different seeds. And that's part of the fun. That's part of the journey. That's part of the adventure, is finding those seeds, and it, so anyway, it's the food is not just go on Amazon and get, Angola seeds in Ghana or something. You're going to have to do a little more work. Now, as far as if you're not able to travel or you don't have friends, and you have Google, just go to Google, type in landrace cannabis seeds, or cannabis landrace seeds. You'll find a lot of websites. Now, are they scammers or not? I have no idea. But what you can do is then when you find a website that actually has some seeds you're interested in, type in name of seed bank. Are they a scam? Type that into Google. You're going to find in some of these grower communities, there's like Overgrow, there's, I don't know. I don't really hang out. I farm. I don't spend a lot of time on the internet, just hanging out in chat forums and such. But there are a lot of internet chat forums or whatever you call those things that give reviews if people have been burned really bad, or if they're scammers. You're going to find that if other companies are legit and the seeds actually arrive and they are, and they what they claim they are, then people are going to say, yeah, they're legit, it's good, you know, and it's probably going to be a mixed bag. And so there's not every landrace cannabis seed I've ever gotten is great. Some of them are judged, some of them don't germinate, some of them are really old. So that's just kind of how it works. But yeah. So anyway, I'm just trying to be kind and respectful and help people on their journey. And I hope y'all can understand. And at some point, we're going to be providing seeds for people. But again, I don't have a legal mechanism for doing that right now. And again, I'm fully licensed here in California. I'm in the track and trace system. And so everything, including the seeds, every little molecule of cannabis right now that I work with is in the track and trace system. And that's so we're getting a dispensary, and we're working on other options for being able to sell legally in the track and trace system. So that's coming. Our dispensary is going to be opening very soon at our landrace botanical garden, and we're going to make seeds available. But that means you have to physically come to our property. We're not doing that as a trick to lure people in. But I can't ship seeds all over the world and do commerce. That would be in violation of my license and everything like that. So, it's just promise. If you're willing to spend, half hour to an hour just in the Google sphere, looking for landrace cannabis seeds. Not cannibal seeds, cannabis seeds. And then just do a little due diligence. Check out the name of the company. Are they legit? You'll find reviews. And keep in mind that there's always going to be some haters or someone talking crap about someone. But if the vast majority, got seeds for them, and it worked great. They were legit. They were awesome. There you go. Take the plunge. That's a great way to start. And then your whole journey, if you get the cannabis drug, you may end up, if you have the time and energy and resources, you may end up, instead of going golfing on vacation, you may travel to far-off lands and try and source, cool, unique genetics and such, and connect with other people in other parts of the world, with other cannabis cultures, and, make those connections. That's kind of part of the whole journey. It's a whole cosmic connection with other like-minded folks who are cannabis enthusiasts for whatever reason. So if that's your vibe and your interest, then let the journey begin. And this is where it gets cool. And then you can, a lot of friendships can be formed through cannabis. And
G'day, cannabis enthusiasts and curious minds alike. Welcome to our enlightening journey into the landrace strains of cannabis. We're exploring the rich diversity and unique characteristics of these strains today.
I mean, this is fast, too, for them to get this right. The total amount of flower days, it's not that long. Really short, actually, to be this far along and this fat, this thick. It's a little smackdown smell like. Okay, nice. Light fruity, with like a little spice back to it. Smackdown. Yep, like a little bubble gum-ish, but nice and fruity. It's really nice. This one here, banana biscotti turp check. Nice. Definitely needing more on that creamy kind of biscotti end. Banana biscotti, dude. Ooh. There you go. Definitely biscotti leaning, which is nice. That's exactly what I wanted to see in this banana biscotti, or something on that creamy side. Cakey, dessert. Really nice. Well done indeed. Right on. Let's head down to the greenhouse, check out the autoflowers and the big mamas, which is a cool comparison because the big mamas went into flower the same time these ones did, the same height, only difference is they're in the greenhouse. So let's see. Alright, time to take it into the greenhouse now, see how everything has been progressing since we've been away for a month. The first biggest change, look at everything harvested. Everything is now harvested in the freezer. One bud set aside to be able to do a little smoke test on. A lot of them we've already done that test on. First big change in the greenhouse is everything's harvested and get ready for the changes. I've been reading a lot of you guys' comments on the last vlog as far as suggestions, raised beds, drip lines, everything. Thank you guys so much for everyone who's throwing down in the comments on these type of episodes. But now, let's take a look at the autoflowers because this blew my mind. So here we go. At a first glance, this one right here is extremely susceptible to powdery mildew. Oh my god. It is just full with powdery mildew. But then her neighbor has nothing. So, interesting to see the resistance difference on one compared to the other. I wonder if this one is just, what is going on here? I've never seen one so rare with powdery mildew. But other than that, man, Frosty, looking good, great producer. Don't even want to touch her. But looking amazing, man. And then here's another one of her neighbors right here, and there's no powdery mildew whatsoever. Did we get any bud rot? Doesn't look like it. Looking really good. Wow, Frosty. Frosty, Frosty. Okay, first little chunk of little mold going on right here. But, man, these are almost looking ready. Here's a good fat chunk of bud, man. That would be nuts if there's no mold on them. There's little chunks here and there. I mean, it's such a big bud, it could not be. But yeah, little mold here and there. We're going to cut all these chunks out. And I think this will be the trading test. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, but a test with these autos, I've never done this before or seen anyone else do it. I'm sure people have, I'm not saying I'm the first, but I want to do fresh frozen on everything here and also wash it just to see. Because the turnaround is so fast on these. To be able to turn something like this around in between cycles, you know, get an extra harvest in, and if it did produce like a decent amount in fresh frozen, that would be really cool. But these are all going to be going into the greenhouse, 50 and low fires. And then let's see, pump it right there. But for the most part, just scanning here, a lot of these look good. I see a few that were definitely taken over by mold, but for the most part, a lot of them finished out really nice. Look at this one. It's looking beautiful, dude. Frosty. Thick. Wow. Looking really good. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Gorgeous. Wow, it's crazy to see literally with your own two eyes that some are just good and resistant to both the bud rot and powdery mildew, whereas other ones like that first one we've seen, or this one right here, also just literally with powdery mildew all over her. And then all her neighbors next to her, clear. Clear. You know, looking good. This one got taken over by bud rot. We've already chopped the big bud off there. The next one's already starting to go, so susceptible for sure to bud rot on that one. But for the most part, it's a very small average on here. Everything else is looking good. Whoa, that is a crazy looking auto, man. I don't know how this got this good. It's been a long time since we've had autos. It's thick buds though, frosty, the top, all the way to the bottom. Everything is looking good. Really good bottom buds here. What do these looks like? Wow. That's a very nice OG. So my first thoughts, I'm blown away by what the auto did out here. I'd still say another few days at max, and then we're going to put everything into the freezer, keep a few legs to test on the smoke test. But it's just crazy to see. I didn't know what to expect. Doing autos outdoors, if it was going to make it, how big they were going to get, if they were going to get mold and what that was going to look like. But honestly, very few did end up getting mold. Nice small percentage. Some obviously did, especially the ones close here to the crate, like on the side, because we don't even have this covered up yet. Eventually, we do got to put in some type of curtain we can pull down at night for hard rain, just kind of seal it up, but just open air test, looking really good. Beautiful. I can't believe there's no spider mites out here. Frosty, light green, big chunky, looking gorgeous. And look at this purple one, dude. Those purple ones, nifty. Wow. Ooh, this thing. That looks like an indoor mag right there.
Hello, how's it going? Morocco is well known as a hash-producing country, and it's very famous for its Moroccan raw hash. But did you guys know that the Moroccan landrace, the local strain, is at least 1,000 years old? It's a local cultivar that has been able to adapt to very hot and very dry conditions over time. Today, we're going to talk about the story of the Moroccan landrace, and we'll also talk about the specific characteristics of that strain. Finally, we'll try to find out why this landrace is currently very, very quickly disappearing from the Rif region of northern Morocco. Stay tuned, guys.
Morocco was part of the hippie hashish trade. It's a very famous trade where a lot of hippies traveled during the 60s and 70s. A lot of hippies from America, Canada, Europe as well went to Morocco looking for good weed to smoke. But actually, it was not very potent. However, the hippies helped Moroccans modernize their cannabis industry and helped them make hash. Before that, the Moroccans always smoked the key, which is an Arabic word, weed, the name of the strain. And people just smoke the key in a very small pipe, very small wooden pipe. However, after that, Morocco started producing a lot of hash. The local strain is called key, but it's also called Bithiya. Bithiya means throughout the country in Arabic. Morocco has now been making hash for a very long time. The story of the Moroccan Bithiya goes way back. The first cannabis seeds have probably been brought to Morocco from Central Asia by the Phoenicians around 3,000 years ago. Around that period, Phoenicians were building a lot of trading posts all along the Mediterranean Sea. These people were very famous conquerors, outstanding sailors, and they were also cannabis enthusiasts. According to other sources, the introduction of cannabis appeared later in the Rif region during the Arab invasions. However, one thing's for sure, Keith has been growing wheat for at the very least 1,000 years. This is more than enough time for a cultivated plant to adapt to its environment, very, very specific environment. Over the centuries, the plant has been able to develop some unique characteristics. We're going to talk about what makes the Moroccan Bithiya super duper unique is the fact that it can thrive with very little water and very few nutrients. What's the reason for that? Well, the Rif region used to be more humid and wasn't as hot in the past. But over the past 2,000 years or so, conditions have gradually become drier and drier. Summers way hotter than the past. Without reason, the Medea has had to adapt to very hot summers, and because of that, it finishes a lot earlier than most strains. It is semi-auto-flowering variety, which means that there's many factors that can trigger flowering. When the weather gets too hot, or when the plant reaches a certain height, or many other factors as well, then the plants start flowering automatically. For that reason, in the northern hemisphere, the plants are usually ready for harvest in August. Well, and that's not all. There's many other characteristics that make the Moroccan licorice very unique. For example, look at this plant right here. You can notice something. Yeah. Slackened secondary branches. That's because the plants have been growing in crowded fields for centuries. Therefore, they did not need to produce any secondaries. They just need to grow vertically. For that reason, it's super rare to see a Moroccan plant with a lot of secondary branches. Likewise, the plants don't need a lot of nutrients. They can thrive on very poor soil. Why? It's because in the wheat region, the soil is typically very poor. And because the farmers are usually poor as well, they did not have a lot of money to buy amendments, fertilizer to feed the plants. The plants have had to adapt to these poor conditions, and they can thrive on very little fertilizer. Now, let's talk about the smell. Well, the Moroccan Medea is not as pungent as most cannabis plants. However, the smell is very good. It's sweet and flowy, and it reminds you of honey a little bit. Once the plants are dried, the taste is a little bit different. It's still floral, but it's also minty, and that is reminiscent of the Moroccan minty with a little bit of honey in it. The effect is just like the smell. It's very pleasant, but not too strong. Therefore, if you smoke it, well, it kicks in very fast. You'll feel it very, very quickly, but it comes down after 30 to 45 minutes. The hash, a little bit more potent. Rest, the same thing. It kicks in quickly and settles down pretty fast. The effect of the Moroccan Medea is very pleasant. It's not too strong, but it's very active, and it also doesn't last for too long. So it's pretty much perfect to smoke during the day. Whether the hash or the weed, the effect is pretty similar. The hash is just a bit stronger. We think that the Moroccan licorice is actually a hybrid, but the hybridization occurred a very, very long time ago. It's a hybrid between the Middle Eastern hash plants of the Lebanese and European hemp. That's what makes Medea so unique. Therefore, after what we said, you might think, well, the Moroccan licorice is absolutely perfect for producing hash in Morocco, right? Well, yes and no. The Moroccan licorice is very easy to grow and can thrive in the wheat melons. However, the fact that the plants produce smaller trichomes than most modern strains causes the yield to be a little lower when it comes to making hash. For that reason, rack farmers started introducing plants from other regions. They brought plants from Afghanistan and Pakistan in the late 1980s. Now it's getting even worse. Now growing a lot of hybrids, modern hybrids from everywhere. Like American hybrids, European hybrids from a lot of seed banks, like venomized seeds, and all that, the pollen that the modern hybrids can produce. All the male plants, they throw out pollen. That pollen can fly. That pollen can go very far and contaminate the local plant race. For that reason, the Candida is in great danger of extinction today. At Philippe Genetics, we believe in preserving these old languages. As cannabis becomes more and more legal, it would be a shame if we lose certain strains. These have certain additional properties, certain specific characteristics that you can't find within other cannabis strains. Well, if you guys have had a blast watching this video, please us to make lots of videos, please subscribe to the channel. Help us keep going. Thank you guys for watching this. I'll see you next time. Peace. It wasn't that long ago I grew one plant in a 5x5 tent for the first time in my entire life. Just one big plant in a 5x5. Obviously, it's not the best idea for most situations, as it does take a freakishly long time to measure a plant that will cover an entire 5x5. Nonetheless, it was a fun project, and it was a fun amount of work. Despite less plants being involved, it felt like overall more work. I'll be honest, I never expect things to go as planned, especially when I do so little planning. While there cake Dino that I grew in that 5x5 pretty much saved me from what felt was a pretty mediocre run. Sometimes, wrong right genes can make a garden look pretty damn good. The end results I had on that run were damn near top 5 flowers I've grown to date. Now what you may not know is I also had another one plant run going on in my 4x4 Spider Farmer tent.
Oh, something new. Not sure what hope to finally see. I'm trying to find, but I can use today. I risked it all. I played it safe. And it don't matter the outcome, stay the same. Nothing lost, nothing gained. I can just use change.
Over the past couple runs, actually over the past year, I've been doing pretty darn good in the quality department in terms of like the end results I've been getting. A lot of the phenos I've been growing have been redonkulous, ridiculous. I mean, I could not be happier with how good everything's coming out in terms of just the resin department and, of course, just the terps. Oh, the terps. Needless to say, my standards for what I think is acceptable has gone way up. For this run, I'll be growing my third pheno of the blueberry fritter. I've tried a couple phenos out early last season, and those outcomes were wildly different from one another, one of which I really loved. The other one I actually still have in jars today. Not because I'm trying to savor it or anything, it's well because I'm other top-tier smoke I'm always choosing instead. Out of the two phenos that I did, one produced a mouthful of blueberry terps with this gorgeous, sticky, icky resin that would honestly sedate you the second you smoked it. As for the other pheno, it came out tasting, smelling, and well smoking like a typical juice. which in general I'm not really a fan of, it left me scratching my head that two females can be so wildly different from one another. As I get ready to embark on another run of this very strain, I am somewhat clueless on what to expect. This blueberry fritter run started many moons ago, with, like I said, a freakishly long veg time. This time-lapse shows the wildberry cake and blueberry fritter vegging together for just shy of what was 3 months long. Using 200 watts and just a 444, I agree, this was by far the most hands-off I've been with any of my plants. This round, I'm upgrading my light to the Spider Farmer SF7000. Previously, I was using the SF4000 in this 4x4. 4000 is 450 watts and had an efficacy of 2.7 micromoles per joule. And now, with the new upgrade to the SF7000, this 4x4 will be pushing 650 watts of pure horsepower, and that comes with an efficacy of 2.9 micromoles per joule. By simply jamming more of the same diodes on each board, this light is now able to produce more power with a slightly more efficacious output when the light is being dimmed. The SF7000 is installed with the AC Infinity 6-inch inline fan hooked up to a carbon filter, and this 4x4 is the exhausting outside. The air circulation from the vent is accounted for, and for humidity control, that's being handled by this dehumidifier, which I also have in the room. Anyways, this 4x4 room, vent, room, its tent is ready. To grow from start to finish, the medium base I'm using is this living soil from Gaia Green Organics. This soil does an amazing job on holding onto that moisture in between waterings. The inputs I source are worm castings, which also helps improve the soil nutrient and moisture retaining abilities, but mainly I like to always have some vermicompost, aka worm poop, in my medium for the beneficial microorganisms embracing the soil. Rather than being used in the form of compost tea or being deployed in the medium's extra recipe, worm castings is a must if you are growing organic. And I'm also using the 50-50 ratio of the 444 all-purpose and the 2.4 bloom from Gaia Green Organics. Both of these are slow-release fertilizers that feed the plants slowly over time. I'm using the amount directed by Gaia Green, which is 3 tablespoons per 1 gallon of medium. Other than a quick sprinkle of my rhizite directly onto the roots, to help with connecting the root system using the power of the mycelium web. This transplant is all done. The final pot being used will be a 10-gallon pot. The blueberry fritter will be transitioning from veg into flower. I find the 50-50 blend of both for this current transitioning period provides a better NPK for a plant that is in high demand of nitrogen and phosphorus. She'll still want a strong supply of nitrogen, and for the root development, she will need some phosphorus. But as the light schedule changes and the plant gets through a couple weeks of flower, the NPK demands of the plant will change. Since this plant was edged with a more hands-off approach, it ended up being very tall instead of super wide and bushy. This fritter has been topped 2 times during veg and just left to grow straight up into the light. I'll have to carefully pull and tie each branch down one by one in order to utilize this trellis net. Lucky for me though, this fritter plant is happy and healthy and the stems seem to be accepting of the light stress from the training. The
spider farmer, SF7000 is about 24 inches away, give or take an inch. I'm also setting the horsepower of the light to around 200 watts for the time being. For the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'm keeping this plant on an 18 and 6 veg cycle because, well, I cannot believe it, but I just need more time. Rest of this tent out, and I put some serious work into this canopy because it is looking like it needs some more TLC. So today's sketch now after today, this is made in a couple months in advance. I thought this day would never draw bugs. I am going to be switching the light schedule power. I'd argue I'm off to a good start. Flowers are pretty well safe in this correct quartet. For the most part, I'm judge. Which honestly would have been just fine. I find adding in some 444, I can change the NPK ratio just enough to better fit the current demands of this blueberry fritter. Out of the 10 tablespoons of fertilizer I added, only 3 was the 444. Now this isn't the final feeding, merely an interim feeding between now and the
Go to your room. A little love, little down, little lost, little found, little hole, little dive. I may be wrong, but I wanna be. Ain't it so?
I'm walking into a garden that is in the middle of flowers, and I'm noticing something I was really hoping to avoid this run. Now, the Spider Farmer SF7000 is running at max capacity. This fritter has shifted its focus to producing weight. These flowers are getting bigger by the day, and of course are now once again starting to topple over. Day by day, more and more flowers will be lying on top of one another. I swear I've had run after run where one trellis net worked perfectly, and now, the last few runs of mine, I've ended up with flowers flopping over everywhere. It seems something that has never been a problem before is all of a sudden a recurring annoyance I am dealing with. So once again, I'll be left to do my best on tying as many flowers up as I can, something I really don't necessarily enjoy doing. It is now the middle of flower, and the plant has already started to shift its focus to producing weight and stacking up. So this is when the flower is going to be demanding for phosphorus and potassium, which is the pK of the NPK ratio. Today's feeding is just word castings and 2A4 bloom. Currently, it is the middle of week 7. The lights have been on for a few hours, and the plant is now awake and ready for some water. I always wait a couple hours from when the light comes on before I water. The plant is more willingly to uptake the water faster, compared to when watering the moment the light comes on and the plant is still snoring, sleeping. And like I said, as the days progress, more and more flowers are falling over. So I am using the SF7000 as an anchor and will be tying up some flowers today. Canopy color is changing every single day slowly, and the plant is already starting to slowly fade and flush itself. With every watering, the more flush the plant becomes. I am now in the final week of flower. In fact, today is the final time this big blueberry fritter plant will be watered. It is day 60, the middle of week 8, and this plant is completely flushed and watered for the final time. The leaves are completely faded. The trichomes are mainly milky and cloudy, and the entire canopy has a hue of yellow. I'd say this blueberry fritter is ripened for harvest. Now, I am happy with how the plant is mainly behaving and uptaking food during flower. It's without a doubt a plant I'd classify as an easy grower in regards to food requirements. The plant seems to just love life. It stays healthy and green and can handle a lot of the light I was throwing at it. And the size of the flowers I'm also happy with. Everything feels chunky and dense despite how much hair crystals there are. This is the third pheno and by far the worst pheno in regards to trichome production. Mind you, the terps, they are hitting like a fresh batch of blueberry muffins coming right out of the oven. The smell that I am getting off this blueberry fritter is absolutely incredible. However, I'm not too thrilled with the trichomes or the amount of. My standards are much higher when it comes to the frost level, and I'm just not seeing that factor on this plant. Despite the ease of this plant during flower, I am honestly left no choice but to change strains, begin hunting for something new. My last couple videos on the apple cups and the bobbers, they covered this entire drying process. The blueberry fritter was intertwined with these other grows. So for anyone who wants to know more on those drying conditions, you can just watch those videos. I'll leave a link in the description below. The blueberry fritter took about 12 days to dry, and it was once again time to trim this whole crop by hand and get them placed in the jars for curing. Okay, let's get into this blueberry. I can't fucking talk. Okay, we're gonna get into the blueberry fritter right now. We're gonna weigh everything up, but I do want to point out that this, out of the other blueberry fritters I've grown in the past, was, in terms of aesthetics, the least appealing by far, actually. Just very solid big buds, great yielding kind of genetic, but ultimately, just the aesthetics. I'm not a fan of like that really red hairy flower. It doesn't look overly frosty. Now, in regards to the terp profile, we're talking 8, 9 out of 10. I really enjoy the blueberry muffin smell that I'm getting from this fritter, but I need the whole package. Ultimately, I'm not very happy with this pheno. I definitely was happy with some of the other phenos. One of the phenos of the blueberry fritter actually did come out extremely frosty and had an amazing terp profile, and I was trying to even get a little bit better than that, and on this pheno, kind of took a couple steps backwards, unfortunately. The aesthetic, it's just super red hair. It's just very hairy. So the blueberry fritter, not my best work. by any means. However, the grow from start to finish went smoothly. I was very happy with the performance of the LED. Gonna weigh everything up and see what the yield was. But I do want to point out, because I was just not overly ecstatic with this batch, that I did shuck a good amount of popcorn buds, but also medium-sized flowers. I was tired of trimming. I just went through trimming 5 apple cups, just went through trimming a shit ton of wild berry cage, and then I had, blueberry fritter that started going, all hand trimmed. I had to help with my buddy, thank God. It was just a lot of work. When I got to this final crop of the blueberry fritter, which was the least appealing by a long shot, I was like, okay, maybe not worry about trimming every single flower on this crop. Let's just focus on the big stuff, and all the medium and even small popcorn stuff will get shucked, and I'm going to make some amazing hash. So that's one thing I do want to point out. Like, the aesthetics on this flower is not at all anything to freaking get excited about. Like, you guys have seen some absolute frostiness on this channel, and this blueberry fritter is not that. But the turret profile is fucking outstanding. That blueberry muffin smell is just intoxicating. I can't get enough of it. So, overall, the bag appeal is not really fucking great, but listen, when I make some solid dry sift with this crop, that dry sift is going to schmack so nice. It may not be a great returning flower in terms of actually making hash, but it doesn't matter. I'm not a commercial grower. I'm not selling any of this. So a lot of this is probably just going to get turned into dry sift and then properly kept in dry sift, and some of it turned into hash rods, and I do like both. Still smoke a lot of joints, but if I smoke a joint, I love supercharging it with dry sift. And if I'm not smoking a joint supercharged with dry sift, I am probably going to be trying to smoke hash rosin if I can. Okay, that's paired to 0. That bowl is 500 grams. That's a 1,000 gram scale. So there's a good chance that I won't be able to weigh all of this up in one go, but the second I start agitating this weed, I just get blueberries. It's fucking intense, dude. Not big enough. Chunk of shit. Sure. Focus, son. Back to 0. Fuck me, this smells good. Think blueberry pancakes, blueberry muffins, just fresh out of the oven, dude. Fucking red hairy fucking blueberry muffin going, bro. 290 plus another 101 grams or whatever. We're not really sitting at a gram per watt right now. Now keep in mind, I should also show you just how much of the other large popcorn and medium-sized buds I have, because, if I weigh that up, well, it's definitely going to put me into the 1 gram per watt. But in terms of what I trimmed up, what's going to be going into jars, we're sitting around just shy of like 400 grams. If my math is off, but it's like around 400 grams. So that's it. You never guess the places that I've been. You never guess the places that I've been. 'Cause everything is like a dream, yeah, but only in my dreams I live in. I'm never gonna let the day begin. Never gonna let the day begin.